everyone, and welcome to my porch. This is very different for me. I tried to do this video last weekend, but by the time I was ready to do it, it was much too sunny where I wanted to do it, and it was much too windy and breezy, so I'm trying again. And I was originally going to do it in our backyard, but again, it's too sunny, so here we are on my front porch. It is the first time that I've ever recorded a video outside, and it could be the worst idea ever, or it could turn out to be great. We will see, but I'm hoping that it turns out to be great. It is quite hot and humid today, supposed to thunderstorm later, so you may be able to tell that. Luckily, there's at least a little bit of a breeze going on today. I've got my windscreen on, so hopefully that helps tamp down some of the noise, because we also live right next to a road, so you'll probably hear a lot of traffic noise. I'll have to stop if there's motorcycles or trucks or things like that. But yeah, this is a first for me, but I thought it'd be fun to try something different, to change it up. It is fitting because today we are going to be talking about Bambi. Yes, Bambi is the next video in my Disney Flashback series, and I thought it very appropriate to do this outside in nature with the animals where Bambi would be. And there's a lot to talk about, and I'm probably going to have to stop a number of times, so let's hope that we can get through this. If you haven't seen my other Disney Flashback videos, I will link them down in the description box for you. I have done so far Snow White and Pinocchio, and I'm not going to do every single one in sequential order because I will never get through them all. So the next one I really wanted to rewatch is Bambi, so let's talk about it. This one came out in 1942, and it had the same long opening credits that Snow White and Pinocchio did, but it did not have the book like those two movies did. Now, this is another one I have not watched since I was a very young kid, so I really didn't remember very much about it. And in watching this one, I think it must have been remastered because the animation looked quite good and it didn't look old or grainy or anything like that. So it starts with the animals in the forest, including Thumper. Bambi is born and is a prince according to the other forest animals. They all go to see him just after he is born. Later, when we focus in on Thumper a little bit more and his interactions, he gets a reminder from his mother that if you cannot say something nice, don't say anything at all. And this is a reminder of something that his father had taught him. So it made me wonder if this is where this saying came from, because of course I heard it as a child. And so I don't know, did this saying come about because of it being said in this movie Bambi, or was this a saying that already existed that Bambi or the writers of Bambi just used in the movie as well? So that's one thing I wasn't too sure about, but it was a reminder of that saying. And then another one that was a bit unique that is not very commonly used anymore was Thumper saying, "Gee whiz," because that's something you don't really hear nowadays. The other animals help Bambi learn to walk and talk because he starts out a little wobbly, he's just getting used to walking and learning words, so the other animals help him out with that. Now, the skunk becomes known as Flower because as Bambi's learning to say words and what they are, he looks at the skunk after just having learned the word flower and says flower because he doesn't know what a skunk is. So then the skunk just becomes known as Flower. Now, in another scene, the raindrops start falling down on the leaves, which starts to make a tune of notes, which then turns into a song. It's a song about April showers, and one that I didn't remember at all. The only part that I could make out from the song is that they say, "Drip, drip, drop, little April shower." At first, the scene is all calm and great with all the animals loving the rain, and then lightning strikes, and it becomes ominous and scary, and all the animals have to hide and take shelter. But then the storm passes and it becomes all good again. So this all happens within the same song. The first time that Bambi's mother takes him to the meadow, she cautions him. And she says how it's dangerous at the meadow and they can't just run and rush out into the meadow because since Bambi's so excited, that's what he wants to do. So she cautions him that they cannot do that because it is not safe, because they have no protection or cover there. I did find the character of Thumper to be cute and funny, and he always seems to have to be reminded of various rules from his mother. At this point, we find out that there is an elder deer, and he is known as the Great Prince of the Forest because he is brave and wise, but also has the respect of the other deer because none of them have lived half as long as he has. A little later, they show the animals in the meadow, and they have to all run from it. They all of a sudden start running from it, and once they are safe, Bambi asks his mother why they all ran because he didn't understand, and she says, "Man was in the forest." And this is evidently the only Disney movie where the villain is never actually shown and isn't a specific character, because the villain in this movie is man, and that's the only way that they refer to it, as man, all-encompassing of humans basically, and they never actually show man. It's just kind of a known thing. So the next thing we know, it is winter. And they show Bambi and his mom in the winter struggling to find food. And I honestly got a little choked up at this point and wanted to cry because Bambi's sitting there with his mother after they struggled to find food and says, "I'm awfully hungry, Mother." But I could also relate to Bambi when shortly after that he said, "Winter sure is long," because that's how I often feel in winter. Shortly after that, they find some spring grass peeking through the snow, so they start grazing a little. But then the camera cuts to a shot overhead looking down on them eating in the meadow, and some ominous music kicks in. His mother senses something and says, "Run, Bambi, into the thicket. Run faster, don't look back." So Bambi does just that, and you see him run into the thicket, and then you hear the final gunshot. It was hard for me to watch, and then he says, "We made it, Mother, we made it." Then he sees that she's not there with him. You don't see anything happen to her, but you know. Bambi then runs into the elder deer, and he tells Bambi, "Your mother can't be with you anymore." So Bambi sheds a tear, and then the elder deer says, "Come, my son." So I wasn't clear on this part whether Bambi was actually the elder deer's son, and maybe that's why they referred to him as a prince, or maybe because he is considered the elder deer, then all the deer are considered his children. I wasn't too clear on that part, but I think he might be Bambi's father. All I know is the last few scenes that I described to you were a roller coaster of emotions. However, Bambi's mom does make it 40 minutes into the movie, and that surprised me because I thought that she died much earlier in the movie. However, I never did get her name. I don't know if they said it and I just missed it, or if they didn't really give her a name, but I did not catch the mother's name. So now they have another song about spring because winter has passed, and this one is sung by all the birds. It's another one I don't know, and all I could make out from it was, "Let's sing a song about spring." The next time we see Bambi in spring, he is much older. Thumper is grown up as well. It didn't take long for the animals to grow up, and their voices have changed also. We cut to a scene with the owl, who I haven't mentioned yet, but is definitely a secondary character that is touched on now and then. So the owl is talking to Flower, Thumper, and Bambi and explaining to them what happens to you when you fall in love. He calls it twitter pitter, and they reply by saying it sounds awful, and the owl says, "Well, you better be careful because it could happen to anyone. It could happen to you." And they all agree, "It's not going to happen to me," and then walk away. And not very long after that, Flower is the first to go when he encounters a lady skunk who is very friendly to him and kisses him. Thumper is next when he sees a cute brown bunny grooming herself and then being flirty. Then she sings to him. Next, the female deer who met Bambi as kids runs into him. I believe her name is Feline. Feline wants to be with Bambi, but another deer comes along and challenges him and tries to take Feline away. So Bambi and the other deer start to fight. Bambi wins and gets to be with Feline. Then the leaves, trees, and grass all start making music and singing some sort of love song to the two of them as they prance around. And I don't know if it's because it's been such a long time or that the music from the movie isn't really well known, but I really didn't remember any of the songs that were in Bambi at all. Not long after the prancing, Bambi and Feline are sleeping, and Bambi hears something or senses something, so he goes to check it out. The elder deer ends up being in the same place that Bambi ends up. They show a building and fire in the distance, and the elder deer says, "It is man. He is here again. There are many this time. We must go deep into the forest." Bambi goes back to get Feline, but she ran off looking for him. So all the animals start to flee, and they also have a scene where a group of birds are hiding, and one of the birds is very scared, and the other birds tell them just stay quiet and stay low because man is getting closer, so the bird is getting more and more nervous, but they're trying to tell the bird just stay quiet and low and don't move. Unfortunately, that bird gets so nervous and doesn't listen, and their instinct is to fly away, so it does just that and ends up getting shot. Then a bunch of dogs start to come, and that was another stressful time in the movie. Feline is cornered by them, and Bambi comes to help. As Bambi is running away from the dogs after saving Feline, he jumps to get away and gets grazed by a bullet. Meanwhile, man's fire ends up setting the forest on fire. The elder deer comes to get Bambi and says, "You must get up." But Bambi doesn't think that he can because he's wounded, doesn't know about this fire approaching, just knows, hey, I got shot, I can't really move right now, but the elder deer kind of emphasizes, you must, or you will definitely die by this fire. The elder deer forces him to, as they must run to escape the fire or be killed by it. I personally think this scene would be a little bit scary for kids. It was definitely a little intense for me to watch, so I do think it could be scary for kids to watch. All the animals end up having to swim to a different part of land in order to escape the fire. Luckily, Bambi and Feline find each other on the new land, and then we kind of circle back to the beginning of the movie where a new birth is taking place, and it's the birth of Bambi and Feline's babies, so it's 2 babies this time instead of 1. And once again, all the forest animals are excited and happy to meet these new baby deer. And the movie ends with Bambi standing on a cliff of their new home, kind of looking out. It's a wide shot, and that's where it ends. Now, I didn't watch this one for so long because all I heard or remembered was that it was very sad, and I just didn't really want to watch things that were sad. I like to be uplifted, but I didn't find it to be as sad as either it was made out to be or I remembered it being. It is very sad, his mother dying and the things that happened to the animals. But for me, it was more an intense roller coaster of emotions of I'd go from being, oh, look, everything's happy and wonderful, to, whoa, things got real serious. And so it was very quickly like up and down, up and down. Another thing about this one is I don't usually like the animated movies that are just animals as much as I like the other ones with princesses and things like that. But this one I did. I honestly enjoyed it more than I thought I would, and I did like this one more than Pinocchio. But another thing I found interesting is I thought Thumper was in the story much more, especially where he's such a marketed character alongside Bambi, but he really wasn't in it a whole lot. I was just a little bit surprised by that. But it was definitely a movie that made you fun. It had a lot of moments to ponder, lessons, a very heavy message about nature and animals and man's impact on that, and this was in 1942, so I thought that was interesting. But I liked it. Let me know in the comments when's the last time you watched Bambi, and is it one of your favorites? I'd love to know. But I hope that you enjoyed this Disney flashback of Bambi. I hope you enjoyed my little different setting out here in nature with the animals. And next up is Cinderella. I can't remember if I've mentioned this in my other Disney flashbacks, but for some reason I thought Sleeping Beauty came before Cinderella, but no, Cinderella was first. So that's what I'm going to talk about next. So now I need your help because I need to know if you want me to also talk about the live action Cinderella. And if you do you want me to compare them in the same video? So watch the animated one and the live action one and give my thoughts on each and compare them? Or do you want me to do it as two separate videos? So I would do my regular Disney flashback about the animated Cinderella, then I could do a second video about the live action where I do the comparison. So I need your help with that. Let me know what you want to see. I would really appreciate it. Leave it down in the comments. And I look forward to doing another princess one next. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it made you smile a little bit. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Let me know if you'd like to see more outdoor videos. I would love to know your thoughts on that as well. Have a magical day.